Stop running down the meh and mundane hallways of life and tap into the magical. My name is Michelle Shutter. I am a life and leadership coach for women and host of the Life Coaching Classroom podcast. I'd like to welcome you to Life Coaching Classroom, where we walk with you in the hallways of life so you can align to the beautiful expansiveness of your true self through reconnection, reinvention, and rejuvenation. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to class. Hey there, welcome back to this episode on the Life Coaching Classroom podcast. My name is Michelle Shutter. I am your host. I am a life and leadership coach for women and the creator of Life Coaching Classroom. And Life Coaching Classroom is where we get to study, the 6 different components of which I call the reinvention process. We study heart, healing, health, humanity, harmony, and happiness in no particular order, and they all overlap. And why do we study this process? Well, because anytime we want to make a change, do something better for ourselves, up level, make a decision that requires some kind of courage, like anything, we must tap into this process, because this is the process that allows us to really reignite the fire within us so that we can live into our potential, our passion, our purpose, and we can do this regardless of the age. It doesn't matter. It is moving through some of these blocks that hold us back. And when we can apply these 6 H's to our life, it makes such a significant difference. So this podcast, whether you realize it or not, interweaves those 6 different components on a regular basis. Not all 6 at once, but all 6 components are addressed throughout the podcast episodes. So today is episode 59, Love on the Author. And this was part of a 3-part series where we started with episode 57, Your Published Story, episode 58, The Main Character, and now episode 59, Love on the Author. These were all snippets that I pulled from our unit study in December, which was Rise Above Your Story. And you can get full access to those recordings. They are available by going to lifecoachingclassroom.com/unit. They will expire. The free access will expire on December 30th at noon Central Time. So if you are listening to this after it and you still want access, know that you can get that at the Life Coaching Classroom library. And that website is lifecoachingclassroom.com/library. If you have any questions, just reach out. I'm more than happy to support you in any way I can. So before we dive into the recording from the Rise Above Your Story unit study, I want to just share with you a little bit here. When I talk about love on the author, it is really looking at the piece of us that doesn't receive in some cases, the piece of us that is there that we beat ourselves up because we are not where we think we should be. Well, where should we be? If we're not meant to be in this space right now at this present moment, where should we be? And when we are not appreciating the space that we're in right now, we begin to focus on lack. And when we focus on lack, that really creates a lower vibrational energy. So if we're wanting something, a desire that is, higher up the energy ladder, but yet we're focusing on lack, which is at the lower end of the ladder, it's not compatible. Our energies are not compatible. And we have to think about, if we are continuing to focus on lack and scarcity, we can only align with those things that have the same energy as lack and scarcity. So we really have to decide, is this exactly where we want to be? Is this exactly where we want to stay? Or do we want to make a conscious choice to rise above our story? And that requires courage. That requires a decision. And all of that is not easy. It requires support, because you can't just go up to anybody and say, hey, I'm going to do this, even if it's somebody that you highly respect and love, unless you fully know that they are in your corner and they are going to support you regardless. You have to proceed with caution, because when you tell the wrong person, You will get a response that will feel like you're being rejected. You're going to the self-doubt is going to come up. The unworthiness is going to come up. And all of that is good to bring to the surface. But if you don't have support in navigating through that, it can kick you right out of the game. And so what I wanted to do in this episode is really just share with you. I shared 3 different ways that you can really love on on the author that will support you in really moving up that energy ladder, so that your energy is aligned with what you want. And I just share one of the 3 ways. Again, if you want full access to it, you want to go to lifecoachingclassroom.com/unit so that you can get access to the replays. But I would love to hear what you're taking away just based on this one way that you can implement starting today to love on the author. So let's get started. And number 3 is we're going to welcome all the chapters of our story. Now, when we look back at our story, what we've had so far in our life, what our story is, and all the different chapters, like I'm here to tell you, I'm not proud of every one of my chapters, not by a long shot. I think back to some of my chapters and it still is unsettling for me in some ways. Why I chose the choices I did, the actions I did, the behaviors I exhibited, I'm not sure. I like if I could go back in that time, perhaps I'd realize it. But what I do know is every one of those chapters is connected to hurt in some way. And that doesn't feel good to me. However, I do know, and I hope that you embrace this as well, that I had to experience the duality of it to fully have a human experience. Again, not proud that some people were hurt based on my actions or my choices, my words, my behaviors, not proud of that. But without having that experience, I wouldn't know the other side. And so many times we think, oh, we got to be positive all the time. And yeah, positive is great. But we have to experience the other side of it to truly get clear on what we want in the positive light. And the one thing about welcoming all chapters of your story is you must practice what I call emotional discernment. You have to be able to look at this without judgment, to really look at having a better understanding, a deeper awareness of where you were and where you want to go. And do that through the lens of without judgment. Because let's face it, some of these chapters were really tough. And we know that here's a little tool that you can use to see if you are really like over the chapter, if the chapter no longer impacts you. I want you to think about a situation that you're perhaps not proud of for whatever reason. And if you think of that and you fully think about the situation and what happened, does it still create an emotion in you? And if it does, it's active. Some people might call it like a trigger or something. So know that whatever that situation is, if there is something similar or that it reminds you of that situation, again, think about that emotion. And if that emotion is running high and you can feel it, like it's activated. And what happens is we reactivate those old patterns, those old stories, those lower vibrations that don't serve us. We keep reactivating it over and over and over again. And it creates those patterns versus looking at that emotion and thinking, okay, how can I discern this? How can I look at this without judgment to have a deeper understanding of myself and who I am. Because there's a lot of energy that goes into holding onto the emotions of like guilt or shame, or judgment or blame. And some of those are rooted deep into like our early childhood, but it has been reactivated numerous times throughout our life because whatever situation we're engaged in has activated that emotion from a long time ago. So I want to share with you a tool today that perhaps can help you, support you in, when you start to look at all those chapters, can you welcome them all? And I'm here to tell you this work is to fully rise above your story. It's work. It's self-discovery. It's self-transformation. It's self-integration. And it can be challenging to do it on your own. Just know that there are some tools here that can support you. And I'm also going to, once I go through this, I'm also going to share with you another way for you to get some support. So this tool, and I will put it out, send it out with the replay today, is called you can see that. One Feeling, Many Thoughts. And it's all about, again, reinventing yourself, because if you're holding on to that emotion, you have to transform it so that it serves you in a better way. Now, I want you to know that an emotion, a thought, a feeling, an action is energy. And I should probably, do a little debrief here. Everything is energy. Everything physical, everything non-physical. Everything holds a vibrational frequency. Your emotions do. Your eyelashes do. Like everything has an emotional frequency. The one thing that you have to realize is how much energy are you giving to holding on to those old chapters that are still creating that emotion in you? Because energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So if you unknowingly, which happens a lot, you unknowingly are giving energy to these stories within you that don't serve you, I want you to imagine transforming that energy into a way that really allows you to move up that ladder and serves you and your human experience at such a deep, powerful level. So the One Feeling, Many Thoughts asks you, what is the one feeling you want to explore? And then you want to feel into this feeling and just unload all the thoughts that are connected to it. All the thoughts, and do it from all different levels, whether it's personal, professional, relational, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, even at different levels of local, state, national, whatever it is. Just unload all the thoughts that go with it. And then once you have it down, just take a moment to do it again. Not necessarily the same thought, but to sit in the same space to realize, is there something deeper? Because when we write, again, getting our pen to paper, there's something that is activated in us that we become more aware. And when we're more aware, we're able to take things, pull back those layers even deeper to see, okay, what is this story? And how can I rise above it? Now, once you've done that, you're going to tuck this paper away for like 2 days and you're not going to look at it. Don't be tempted. Just fold it up, put it in a drawer, whatever. Set something on your phone to remind you that in 2 days you can bring it out. And when you bring it out after the 2 days, you're just going to go through that list and you're just going to take things off that you really have no control over, and those things that just don't directly impact you or your family or your health in some way. And then you're going to look at, okay, what's really left for me to control? What's left on this list? And then look at what's the new awareness you have from One Feeling, Many Thoughts. It's a powerful tool for you to support you through welcoming all the chapters of your life.
Because again, I'm here to tell you, you're not the only one that's had some crappy chapters. We all have. I don't care what picture is painted on social media. I don't care what picture is painted in print. We all have had some chapters in our life that have been tricky, that have been hurtful, that sometimes we don't even want to talk about. Like we want to shove it in a closet, lock the door, and throw away the key. But eventually that closet door bursts and it starts to come out. Now, I want you to know that your story, these different chapters, are also influenced by seven different influencers. And the majority of the time, we actually spend the majority of the time we spend with influencers one and two. And I go into depth in this in the life coaching classroom, but I want you to know that when you spend time, the majority of your time with influencer number one, which I call Survival Sue, that you're only utilizing 10% of your potential. You are leaving 90% unused potential, and you more than likely don't even realize it. The second influencer that the majority of the people um, are influenced by the majority of the time is who I call Heartaholic Hannah. And Heartaholic Hannah only uses 30% of her potential. 70% of her potential is not tapped into. And when you think about welcoming these chapters and rising above your story, how easy is it for you to rise above your story when you are only using 10 to 30% of your potential? That's really challenging. Let's face it, that's really challenging.
All right. I would love to know what you thought of that. Are you in a position where you can welcome all the chapters of your story so that you can fully have the human experience here that you're supposed to have? Like, deep within you that you are called for something else, that you are supposed to evolve, expand. We were not put here to have a human experience that's full of meh, mundane mediocrity. We are supposed to tap into the magical. We are supposed to up level. Yes, it takes the experience of having the duality. It takes the bad to access the good. It takes the negative to see the positive. We can't have one without the other. To fully experience it, we have to have both. And so that means we have to embrace all the chapters of our story. We have to decide, though, what amount of energy are we going to contribute to holding onto a story that doesn't serve us? It's really your choice. It's really your call. Again, I invite you to get full access to Rise Above Your Story, where there were 3 different trainings that I did that put together this whole unit study for you and really start off 2023 in a way that is different from the past. Sure, you can go out and set your goals. Sure, you can get excited about it. But until you fully align with the energy behind it and you clear out some of that old garbage, some of that old bogus stories, if you don't do that, you're going to be right back in the same spot because that resistance is going to show up. And that was from day 2. And it's going to fill that space from where you are, where you want to go. And it's going to look like you're going and almost achieving it. And then boom, you're snapped back right to where you started. That's a pattern. And that pattern will continue to repeat until you put the tools in your backpack that support you and move you forward and allow you to rise above your story. So if you're able, you can catch this, get the recordings for free at no charge at lifecoachingclassroom.com/unit. They do expire on December 30th. If you are here after December 30th, 2022, you can get access to it at lifecoachingclassroom.com/library. Okay, that will be there. So again, I would love to hear what you're taking away. I would love for you to share this episode with someone that perhaps is not fully embracing all the chapters of their story. And what would happen? What would be different if you or they could transform that energy into something that supported them in really their fullest potential and bringing that fulfillment to the forefront? And if you have a hot minute, I would love for you to leave a review so that this podcast can get more reach. The reviews are so valuable, but I know it requires a hot minute. So again, if you have any questions, I would love to support you in any way I can. You can email me at hello@lifecoachingclassroom.com. And my social media handle is always at Michelle Shutter. So again, I hope you take a moment to rise above your story, and I will see you in class. Have you joined our monthly unit study? If not, you better head on over and reserve your seat at lifecoachingclassroom.com/unit. The unit study gives you an opportunity to experience life coaching at no charge. Again, register and get all the details at lifecoachingclassroom.com/unit. I do have a favor. Could you take a moment to share this podcast and Life Coaching Classroom with your besties? Perhaps they too are tired of running down the meh and mundane hallways of life. Let's give them a little spark in their day. Finally, I'd be so grateful if you take a minute to review the podcast. The reviews definitely help to spread the podcast to more women. Thank you. I so appreciate you, and I will see you in class.